What's up, everyone? Excited to be with you today and talk to you about lessons that we all can learn from the great movie and the great situation and circumstance that happened years ago called Apollo 13. So we're going to look at that. We're going to take some lessons from it. We're going to watch a short video clip. We're going to talk about how we can apply it because there's a lot to extract from what happened there. And we'll talk more about what happened. But long story short, we had some astronauts that were going to the moon. That was the mission. And they had an epic failure, which led to an explosion of an oxygen tank, which damaged another tank, put them in a very precarious situation where they needed solutions that they didn't have. And time was ticking. Not only were they starting to literally freeze and literally could die of hypothermia, so they had that situation, but the air was changing in the cabin that they were in, and they were running out of fuel all at the same time. So literally, they were scared of having toxic poisoning from not having enough pure oxygen to breathe. They were running out of oxygen. They're running out of fuel, which they needed plenty of fuel to get back to the Earth's surface, and they were freezing to death, and they didn't have any solutions. So it took a diverse team to come together with different experiences, different mindsets, and different education and different perspective for them to all come together and figure out, hey, what are the solutions? Here are all of these problems, because our goal is the same. We might be all different. We might be diverse. We may come from different places. We may have different expertise, but we have the same goal, and that is to get these astronauts back home safely. What are we going to do? And we have limited time and limited resources, and they had an incredible success. So they call it a successful failure, meaning they failed the mission. They didn't land on the moon, but they turned a failure, which could have been so catastrophic that it literally killed multiple astronauts, into a success using teamwork under pressure. So it's a fascinating story. So let me share my screen really quickly, and we'll talk about some of these slides. So the first thing being that it takes each of us to make all of us. I mean, what we do is diverse. Now, we may not be saving astronauts from outer space every single day, but what we do matters, and what we do is very complex, and it takes a village to raise these children, so to speak. It takes all of us, takes each of us, takes every single thing that we do for the mission, because we all have the same mission. We may have different tasks. We may have different titles. We may have different direct responsibilities. We all have indirect responsibilities, things that we're able to do to contribute towards the mission, whether that be taking the trash out or emptying coffee grounds or making coffee if you're one of the first in the building, whether it's talking to a parent or just giving somebody a smile as you walk by. It's even the environment you create for your coworker. Each of us are what makes up all of us, and it takes all of us to be able to accomplish our mission and to do it well, to do it with excellence, because everything we do affects the lives of these children. And as the therapist will tell you, early intervention is key. What we do for them and with them through your efforts, through the combined mission of all of us on this team, is what makes a lasting impact for the rest of those children's lives. And it impacts their families. It's a huge deal. And every little thing that we do added up, compounded over time. So it leads to drastic outcomes. So we want to operate with excellence because we care about every single child that walks in that door, every single one of them. They count, they make a difference, and we make a difference in their lives. And so the power of diversity in a team, these are the lessons that we can extract from Apollo 13. So again, they had the same mission, landing on the moon, and they had a critical failure, which their oxygen tank exploded, leading to damage another oxygen tank. And they were literally stranded in space with limited time, limited resources, in order to be able to not only survive the incident, but get back to Earth safely was a huge problem. And it took the entire team to figure it out. So a team of diverse individuals, different talents, backgrounds, education, and perspectives are literally what made this mission possible, even though it looked impossible on the surface, because they had a common goal. The same goal was to get them back home safely. So let's take a look at this clip really quickly to remind ourselves of what these individuals went through in order to survive.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
Can say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
It was plagued by bad omens and bad luck from the very beginning.
Looks good here, flight. Good agreement.
Years before the flight, when the spacecraft was being built, a damaged liquid oxygen tank was installed in the spacecraft. The tank had been dropped on the factory floor. A little piece of plumbing and prevented the normal procedure for removing oxygen after a routine test prior to the flight. And then on the day before flight, we filled up the tank again with liquid oxygen, and it was a bomb waiting to go off.
This is the crew of Apollo 13. Wishing everybody there a nice evening, and we're just about ready to close out our inspection of Aquarius and get back to a pleasant evening at Odyssey. Good night.
Actually, it was the end of the workday. We were fixing to go to bed after we did a few things to clean up, and the next morning go into lunar orbit and get ready to land. And then there was a large bang.
When the explosion first occurred, we didn't know what happened.
And that just rang through the metallic structure.
Houston, we've had a problem.
I was in the lunar module, and then I went down into the command module.
We may have had an instrumentation problem, flight. Roger.
And we had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning there.
We started to look at the instrument panels. One of the quantity gauges of one of the tanks was 0. That was the tank that had blew. I then looked out the window and saw escaping at a high rate of speed a gaseous oxygen, because the explosion occurred on the damaged tank, but that also ruptured the second tank, just blew the entire side of the spacecraft off.
My immediate feeling was just a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach of disappointment. I knew we had lost the landing.
And from then on, it was not a third landing on the moon, but a survival of how to get home.
Okay, I want you to double check my arithmetic to make sure we got a good course of line.
Go flight. How's the arithmetic? Stand by, we're checking.
At the time, it's scary as the devil, and we were handling something that we knew was out of control. And every team that came on was dealing with a major set of problems to deal with. And they just jumped to the task, and they knew what they had to do.
Okay, now let's everybody keep cool. We got LEM still attached. The LEM spacecraft's good, so if we need to get back home, we got a LEM to do a good portion of it with.
One of the biggest things we had to do in the dying moments of the electrical system in the command module was to transfer the guidance system and transfer the angle numbers from the command module to the lunar module. And we only had about 15 minutes to do that.
About 20 minutes after the explosion, it was obvious that we weren't coming to a landing in the moon. We were going to go around it. Glenn had already been down in the trench with the trajectory guys and came up with 5 trajectory return to Earth options.
So we would have missed the Earth had we done nothing. So the first thing was to get us in the right direction to go around the moon. And that was the first maneuver we made. We used the landing engine, the engine we normally would have landed on the moon.
Everybody seemed to be moving in the right directions without being directed. Everybody had a sense of what had to be done. The training guys brought the simulators up over there, and the crews were over in the simulators tracking virtually everything they were doing. Every configuration change that was proposed to be done was already being worked over in the simulators there. So you started getting answers from all these various directions.
The command module was very wet. There was water everywhere. In the LEM, there's no inner walls, so you could see water on all the connectors, wire bundles, plumbing, every turn, a glob of water. And the command module, we actually had to get towels out to wipe off the instrument panel to see the instruments.
We copied that report from Jim Lovell of service module separation at 138 hours.
And there's one whole side of that spacecraft missing.
Is that right? Okay, copy that. Farewell, Aquarius, and we thank you.
So it was a question of getting this entire world geared and oriented to one single job: get the crew home.
Teamwork was necessary. Good leadership, initiative, to think outside of the box when things go wrong, how do we repair them? Those are the three things that were absolutely necessary.
I was most proud of being in this team that knew what they had to do. And there was no doubt about it. The team completely faced up to what had to be done. In this case, it was a survival challenge that we were faced with. So there you are, we pulled that off.
So once again, the solution is a team of diverse individuals, meaning all hands on deck. We need all the hands, everybody, to work together for the common goal that we have. And a diverse team, some of the things that they exemplified, I'm sure you would agree with me, especially if you go back and watch the entire movie or actually study up on Apollo 13, is that they had leadership and cool-headedness. The main leader of the group who's dealing with this chaos and this circumstance that looks dire, that they seem to have no solutions and limited resources and very limited time, their leadership was calm, cool, and collected and able to keep the team focused on the goal and be collaborative instead of freaking out, knowing that that's not going to lead to any good solutions. What I like to tell leaders is that you want to keep your energy level, your excitement level, your enthusiasm between an 8 and an 8.5. If you're lower than an 8 on a 10-point scale, then you don't have enough energy and enthusiasm to really move a team forward. I mean, you need some energy. You need to have some enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is contagious. Your energy level is contagious, both positive and negative. They're contagious. But you don't really want to go above 8.5 because then you're so intense, you're setting yourself up for a roller coaster and absolute destruction. So you want to keep between an 8 and an 8.5 with your enthusiasm, but maintain a cool head in the midst of circumstances like what they were going through. And then the technical expertise. It takes a diverse team of people who have technical expertise. You guys heard this morning about the AAC device, an incredible training about that, which was so good. Did an excellent job of educating us their technical expertise. And it takes an entire team of individuals who have that expertise in their certain area for us to succeed with our mission. And then creativity and resourcefulness. You notice that they took the things that they had, they used duct tape, they used literally a piece of cardboard. They had limited resources to try to invent a solution for their issue with breathable air. And they got creative and resourceful to create something that didn't exist to make that happen where they were able to breathe all the way back to Earth's surface. And then collaboration and communication. You notice there was a lot of communication going not only between the team trying to build the solutions and the astronauts in space. They were constantly talking back and forth. But then the team back at home, they were talking back and forth, trying to create solutions and run scenarios and make things happen so they could relay those messages to the astronauts. So there was a lot of collaboration from the team and all these different pieces of expertise working together and a lot of communication back to the astronauts. How does that apply to us? Well, we need to be collaborative and communicate so much with each other, different departments, different expertise, different backgrounds, different mindsets, different experiences. Collaborate so that when we work with the patient, we get an optimal outcome because we've collaborated together as a team. Every therapy division should not be its own silo and its own little individual company. It's part of a family, and it takes us all in order to have the best outcomes for those patients and the families that we serve. And then problem solving and adaptability. Things are going to happen. Issues are going to arise. Not everything is going to go according to plan. I like to tell people that you can control how you start the day and you can control how you end it, and it's absolute chaos in between, right? Yes, you can show up on time or show up early. Yes, you can show up prepared. Yes, you can plan your day. You can start your day before you turn on any electronics, before you look at your phone, before you check email. You can start your day with a positive mental attitude, thoughts for the day, and a plan in place, but things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Nobody drives their car and expects that this is the day that I'm going to get a flat tire. Nobody drives on the interstate and says, this is the day that I'm going to get stuck in traffic. Things just happen, right? It's like when you spill coffee in your lap. It's like, well, I wasn't quite planning that, but here we are, right? We have to deal with it. How are we going to problem solve and how are we going to adapt to changes in circumstances, knowing that they're constantly going to happen in our work life and in our personal life, both. And then teamwork in action, I think it was a great display of teamwork in action. A successful team has those diversity of skills, personalities, and strengths. And yes, let me highlight, we've already talked about skills and strengths, but let me mention personalities. It takes every personality to make this work. It takes a strong personality to be able to let a patient know who's abusing a policy that, hey, we can't have that. We can't operate this business and make enough to pay salaries and the light bill and insurance and all the things we have to pay, right? We can't make enough if someone's abusing the policy and they're not showing up because they don't feel like it, or they went on vacation and didn't let the front desk know in time to move the schedule around. Like, that's unacceptable. And I don't know about you, but I love people. I don't want to call a parent of a child and tell them that they're abusing the policy and we need to make some changes if they want to remain a patient here. But someone's got to make that phone call. Someone's got to have difficult discussions. Somebody has to have a strong personality. Someone has to have a loving personality. Somebody has to have exemplify patience with maybe it's a patient, maybe it's a patient's parent. Have a lot of somebody has got to work the phone and talk to the insurance companies who relentlessly don't want to pay claims, right? In order to have enough revenue come in to pay for all the incredible staff. Someone's got to have that patience and that drive and that determination. Somebody's got to want to see the schedule filled. Somebody's got to take responsibility and say, hey, maybe I don't work a lot with patients, but I can keep this area clean. I can do my best to keep this work environment as amazing as possible. Someone's got to have the personality to make staff laugh. Somebody's got to have the personality to incorporate teamwork. Somebody's got the leadership tenacity. I mean, these are all personalities that we need in order for us to succeed. And effective leadership and communication are critical. That is the reason why we have really an open door policy. I mean, if you need to get in touch with somebody in your department head, you can always send a Slack message directly. There's different communication channels that we have on Slack. There are direct messages. There's even, I don't know if you realize this, but you can even do a screen, just like a Zoom meeting basically through Slack. You can do a phone call through Slack. You can send somebody a message through Slack. You can reach me anytime. Literally, I've got my Slack with me all the time. So you can, reach out and talk to whoever, because effective leadership and communication are critical. And then creativity and adaptability are invaluable in problem solving, because you have to have that type of mindset. See, if the team would have freaked out when Apollo 13 had that explosion, or if they wouldn't have been creative because they wouldn't have worked together, if they would have had the mindset that this problem was not going to solve, there's no way possible for them to be able to get these astronauts back home, then guess what? There would have been no way possible to get the crew back home safely. It would not have happened. They had to have the creativity and the adaptability in order to be able to problem solve, with the ability to say, hey, this looks doubtful that this could ever happen, but we're going to work to find a solution as best as we're able, working with what we have in the amount of time that God gives us. And guess what? They made it happen against all odds, which is unbelievable. That's why they call it, and it's known as a successful failure. So diversity, when harnessed effectively, can lead to extraordinary achievements. That's what we do. That's what we continue to do. And that's what we want to elevate here at AARC. And it takes each of us. We need each of us to do what we do. It takes each of us to create all of us. So here's your assignment. What are your strengths? We want to see what your personality is and what your strengths are, where you're strongest. There is an assessment I want you to go through. It's absolutely phenomenal. You're going to agree. It's the high5test.com. And when you go there, you're going to click on Take the Strengths Test. And then once you're done, click Share. Then click Share via email and send it to me on my email address that you see on this screen. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Trust me, there are a lot of questions in this strengths test, but they're lightning fast, because you literally take your finger on your smartphone or your computer, whatever you're going to be using, or tablet, and every question, you just slide that between a scale of 1 to 10. So you just answer really quickly. It's really effective. You'll be blown away at how well this high five test is able to assess you and what you're strongest at. It's amazing. And what you're strongest at is what you're going to be best at. And it's what you're probably going to enjoy the most. And that's the kind of environment that we want to create, where you can really, really, really shine. So take that test, send the results in, and we look forward to discussing those with you. So with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. I'm so appreciative, and I'm excited to be on this mission to help as many children as we can and their families. Thank you so much for your time and your attention today, and we will see you soon. God bless. Bye for now.